Thank you, Senator Portman. Senator Kaine.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and to our witnesses. Thank you so much for your service. I want to talk about two things, Colombia and the Northern Triangle. So I agree with Senator Rubio's position that the first thing we should do is make sure we have strong relations with our allies and shore up democracies, and Colombia has been a great ally. Unlike some of my colleagues, I don't have a problem with the Biden administration's delisting of FARC. Today is the 5th anniversary of the peace deal that was done between the Santos administration and FARC. And I would hope that virtually everybody on the committee would view that as a historic achievement. President Santos won the Nobel Peace Prize for it. I think the U.S. deserves some significant credit for it. We were involved in those negotiations. And I think the delisting at essentially at the 5-year anniversary of the peace deal was the right decision. The Colombian architect of the peace negotiation, let's see, Sergio Jaramillo said, quote, "For the Biden administration, this is a low-cost thing to do. It sends the signal to the FARC, it's been 5 years, you've done your bit, behaved properly, and we're delisting you." The U.S. envoy who was involved in the peace negotiation, who's one of our finest diplomats, Bernard Aronson, said, quote, "If groups that were once violent revolutionary groups are never allowed to get off the list, that's one less incentive for them to make peace. You undermine incentives for other groups to renounce terrorism, renounce violent struggle." So I think the decision to remove the FARC after 5 years of participating in a new life and a new chapter in Colombian life, but designated groups like the FARC-EP, like Segunda Marquetalia, and as far as I know, ALNA is still on the terrorist list, correct? So there's 3 Colombian groups who are carrying out terrorist activities that are on the list. I think it's the right thing to do, and I just wanted to start there. Let me go to the Northern Triangle. Honduras, Guatemala, El Salvador, I note that none of them have been invited to participate in the Summit for Democracy next week. Nicaragua has not been invited. Haiti has not been invited. Bolivia has not been invited. Venezuela has not been invited. Cuba has not been invited. But none of the Northern Triangle nations. We have invested billions and billions of dollars in this region, and yet none of the Northern Triangle nations have been invited to participate. I will just say parenthetically, with this summit coming up next week, I am a little bit surprised that no one I know in the Senate has received any outreach about what we think are topics that should be brought up in the summit. You know, and to be on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee and to have surveyed my colleagues here and on the Intel Committee and on the Armed Services Committee and said, has anyone reached out to you about this Summit for Democracy? And so far, everyone's told me no. I'm a little surprised at that. There is going to be a Summit for the Americas next summer, August of 2022. The U.S. is hosting for the first time in 25 years. I would hope that those preparing for that summit might decide that the Senate Foreign Relations Committee had some expertise and might want to reach out and get our ideas about it. But back to the Northern Triangle. The elections in Nicaragua were a sham. Senator Rubio and I wrote a letter to y'all, and I know Senator Merkley had one too, about concerns about elections in Honduras. Thus far, if I read the OAS reports, it looks like thus far maybe things are exceeding our expectations there. The count is not yet done, so we couldn't celebrate prematurely. El Salvador has backslid after the first election of a president who wasn't part of the FMLN or wasn't part of the right-wing, death squad groups from the past. Promised that there might be a new chapter in Salvadoran life. The president of El Salvador is behaving like an authoritarian. And even maybe our best partner in the region, Guatemala, has backslid even since Senator Portman and I were there in July in terms of sacking anti-corruption prosecutors, and I gather that's the reason that they've not been invited to participate. This is a hugely important region to us. Much of the immigration crisis at the border is being driven by instability in the Northern Triangle. Much of the drug trade that ravishes our communities is being driven by instability in the Northern Triangle. So talk to us a little bit about this particular part of the Americas and what the Biden administration hopes to accomplish there.
Thank you very much, Senator. It's a critical part of the region for us. I was in Honduras last week. I met with the leading presidential candidates. In every meeting, I urged the importance of a peaceful, free, fair, transparent electoral process, talked to the press about that. And as you note, it appears at this juncture we've achieved that, let me rephrase that the Honduran people have achieved that with the support of the international community. The region is one that has seen drops in incomes over the past decade, problems due to climate change, challenges due to the gang-related violence, and above all, intense, acute corruption from key leaders in the Northern Triangle. We're working to address all of those issues, and I think we've made progress in that, but we still have a long way to go, and we're dealing with entrenched elites, political and economic elites, who do not see reform as their friend. And we need to push both using carrots and sticks to encourage change. And I'm hopeful that in Honduras we're going to see the kinds of change that we've been asking. The leading candidate at this moment has stated her commitment to attack corruption, to deal with the causes and drivers of migration, and to promote jobs and better incomes in our country. And we look forward to working with her in that regard.
Thank you. My time is up, but I appreciate the answer. I'll yield it back to the chair.
Thank you, Senator Kaine. I understand that now we have Senator Young on WebEx.